So we're going to look at this is 9.2 where we're going to do linear regressions. I'm going to point out that this instructions right here, they ask you to find the equation of the regression line for the data. So real quickly, I want to remind you that a linear equation has this. This is the equation for a linear equation. Y equals mx plus b, where the number in front of the x value is the slope, and the number that does not that's not associated with the x value is the y-intercept. Okay, so that is the equation that we're going to be working with. Now, for those of you who are not very up on your Algebra 1, it is okay if the equation is written like this, because I think in StatCrunch, they come up with this equation. So it doesn't matter if the coefficient with the x is the last thing that's written down. You can still, this is still the slope, and this is still the y-intercept, because it doesn't matter the order in which you add two things, you end up with the same thing. So here, that's what they want us to do. They want us to find the equation of the regression line. They want us to construct the scatter plot. They want us to draw the regression line, and all of this is going to be done on scatter plot. Then they want us to use the regression equation to predict the y value for these given x values, okay? So I'm going to probably do it twice because I want to do just this part first, write the equation down, and then we'll come back and I'll do that part the second time. So let me jump over here and show you that you start on StatCrunch the same way we did a while ago. We put these values. I've got these values right here in this, okay? X is the height of the building. Y is how many stories that the building has. So the height of the building, this is the number of stories. And we're going to do exactly like we did a while ago. We're going to go over to stat, and we're going to go over to regression, and we're going to do simple linear. Absolutely nothing different. We're going to select the x variable. We're going to select the y variable, and we're going to run down here to do a fitted line, and we're going to compute. So it was the exact same thing that we did a while ago. We can see here's the scatter plot. There's the line of best fit. It looks like it's a pretty solid fit. There is a positive correlation. So the taller the building, the more stories it has. And it seems to be pretty strong, especially up here on the end. Down here, some of the shorter buildings have a little bit more variance, but seems to be a pretty strong fit. Remember, what do we look at? The correlation coefficient. Look at it, 0.96. That's a pretty strong one. Okay, so what we didn't look at a while ago was this part right here, where they give me the equation for the line. So this is what I'm going to write down as the answer over here. Y equals negative 13.25. Probably, I don't know, I'd probably round to one decimal place if I'm just writing it down. So I would be y equals, we'll scoot this over a little bit. Y equals, and notice that this is the, what over here we're calling the B, it has it written down like this. And how do I know? Because there's the X value right there. You see the X value? So this, oh, and down here, it'll even tell you, here's the intercept, and the intercept is the B, and then here is the slope. So they're telling you what this, so you can write it down exactly the way they have it. Negative 13.3 plus point 09x. So in other words, that is okay, and so is this 0.09x minus 13.3. Either one of those is perfectly acceptable. Now, if it's a multiple choice section of the test, I would not have both of these. This would not be choice A and this would not be choice B because they're both correct. But you would need to recognize either one of those as the correct answer. Okay, so it's the exact same thing that we did a while ago to get the scatter plot and the correlation coefficient. There's the correlation coefficient. It's a nice, strong positive correlation. And there's the y-intercept and there's the slope. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, now we're going to have to do it again if we want to get that problem. What they're going to do, you can do it by hand. Now that we have this equation, if you want to take this x value 950, you can plug it in right there and calculate your own y value. You can say, okay, if I take 0.09 and multiply it times 950 and then subtract 13.3, you'll get the number of stories that it would take for a 950 foot tall building. Calculate this, and whatever y calculates to be will be the answer. Okay, so they're just saying, okay, here's another, make sure you understand. They're saying if 950 is the number up here, what's the y value going to be? Okay, and that's one way you can do it. Well, the StatCrunch will do it for you too. You go back and you do the exact same thing. You hit stat, you go to regression, you go to simple linear, you tell it where to find the x and the y values, and then you come down here and you do the fitted line. But notice this right here, prediction of y. So this is where you put in the x values. And so this is where you would put in 950. I don't know what this is. I don't know. So we're going to put, I'm just trying this. I may be wrong. I'm going to see if it'll compute. It won't. Okay. So let's say 1. The level is 1. Okay. Let's say 0.99. Okay. So it found right here that if you have a 950 foot building, then you should have 68.8 stories. Now, you can't have 68.8 stories. So you're either going to have 68 stories or you're going to have 69. I would not round that up because you either have enough height to have 68 stories or you do not have enough height to have 69 stories. So 950 would not give me 69 stories. That would be a little bit short. So I would say that the number that would go right here would be, I would just round it down to be about 68. Okay. So for this one right here, I would say 68. And that I had to round down because I didn't have enough for 69. Now, you can, I really don't know if that, we'll remember that 68.87, because you don't have to do them one at a time. Go to regression, go to simple linear, X, Y, come down here, prediction of Y. You can put in 950, comma, put in 850, comma, 800, comma, and 700. And I'm just going to leave that right there and see if it made any difference to that. Fitted line plot, compute, and this time, yeah, it's the same thing. So you don't have to worry about that number. So there's the Y value for 950. There's the line value for 850. There's the line value for 800. There's the Y value for 700 feet. So this would be 68 stories. This would be 60 stories, 55 stories, and 47 stories. That would be the answer to those right there. Okay. And of course, it's still plotted over there. So, oh, I didn't mean to close that. Let's go back to this one. And don't forget, there's the correlation coefficient, and there is the linear equation. And here are the Y values that you ask for right down here. Okay.